The Connection Show. Inspiring hope, health, healing, connecting the dots of your story and transforming your life. Sponsored by Brave Heart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds.
Well, welcome to The Connection Show, where we inspire hope, health, and healing in the world. And joining me today from another side of Branson, Missouri is Louie Michael. Welcome, Louie, to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm just honored to finally get to meet you. I've heard some amazing things about you from our good friend Lynn Morris over at Axe Media and Changing Times. And I'd love the audience to get to know you a little bit more. But before we begin on Louie, I'd love for you guys to know that Louie has said yes, and this is going to be a fun show, to come into an all-women's conference. Do you believe it? Like, Louie wants to be with all these women and speak to us. So there's got to be a reason that God selected him to speak at this event. But we want you to know a little bit more. So we're going to play this video so you know about the Resilient Brave Hearts Conference.
From the beginning of time, God has commissioned women from around the world to mentor, encourage, teach and train tweens, teens, college students, and young women to be courageous and fearless women of God. In 2023, Queen Esther's need to rise up to save our nation and the generations to come. Receiving a crown of beauty for ashes, God has called older women to teach younger women that they are good enough and are wanted by a king who wants them to arise as resilient Queen Esthers and to live wisely, purely, and be good. Join us for 2 days at Yakov Theater in Branson, Missouri on Saturday, August 19th, 2023 and Sunday, August 20th, 2023 for Resilient Brave Hearts Women Conference. For such a time as this, come in a day early to see Esther at Sight and Sound Theater.
Hi, I'm Jill Reynolds with Resilient Brave Hearts. For such a time as this, coming to Branson, Missouri, August 19th to 20th, 2023. We will be meeting at Yakov's Theater, and I'm so excited for the event. No longer broken and becoming the best you will be joining us at this event. It's for all women of all ages, from 12 years old to 100. You don't want to miss this event. Come to Branson and be with us for this amazing weekend of hope, health, and healing.
Register now by going to braveheartworkshops.com.
Well, the countdown is on, Louie. Just 4 weeks away till this amazing conference of Resilient Brave Hearts for such a time as this. And it's about Titus 2 in the Bible, where older women are called to become equipped to mentor to younger girls so they live their life wisely, purely, and to do good. So take us on a little bit of a journey, Louie. I think you have a beautiful wife and some girls in your life. So what would make you want to speak at a women's conference about what you have to share?
Well, first of all, I do have a beautiful wife and two beautiful daughters, which I've always told everybody I live in the estrogen ocean, which is very true. And so very well connected with my little ladies. Of course, they're grown now. But the flip side of that, too, I was raised in a family of all women, just about. There's very few men in the family. So as a child growing up, it was all my girl cousins, my aunts, anything that I wanted to do. If I wanted to play, I had to play whatever they played. So I was raised with women, so I'm very well connected with women, and I'll never say that I'll know what they're thinking or be able to second guess them, but I've been privileged in that, where I think I have a little bit of a feel for the ladies, in the sense that, I understand the emotions, and I'm probably carry all the female emotions in my family too as a man. But This conference, I think, the reason that, I'm so glad that you asked me, and thank you to Lynn Morris for introducing us. But I think it's very important that we reach all the children. I mean, there's so many adults, children, whether it be men, women, whatever, that need to be reached right now in this time because things are so chaotic, it seems like, in the world. And of course, my background has been in the entertainment business. I've worked for years for everybody from the Backstreet Boys to Duran Duran and Tony Orlando and a lot of different people. But I've also worked regular jobs. I've done tons of different things. I could sit here and go through a list of driving a dump truck to shoveling ditches. It doesn't matter. I've done it all. But one thing that I've always kept constant in my life and has been God. And God has seen me through everything, even when there was times that I didn't want to do certain things that I was being forced to do. I've been married 33 years. It's not always been easy, but God has seen me through all that. So I think anything that you do in the sense of, promoting spirituality with people and encouraging them like you are in this women's conference is very important, and it needs to be done over and over. And I wish there was something to go to every week, because I think this needs to be pounded in these young children and anybody's minds, really. There's 50-year-olds I encounter that really need encouragement. 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, it doesn't matter. We all need encouragement. So I'm excited about this coming up August 19th, I believe, and 20th, correct?
Yep. And you're going to be there on August 19th. We got you in on Saturday. So it's really, really exciting that we're adding a male to it. And it's kind of an offshoot, Louie, besides Titus 2. It's an offshoot of Queen Esther that's playing now at the Sight and Sound Theater here in Branson, Missouri, which is just an amazing hit.
They say it's fabulous.
Yeah, busloads of church groups and youth groups are coming in to see it. And if your church group has not come in, save the date to come to Branson and come in a day early. Go to see Queen Esther on the 18th of August. They have two shows, a 3:30 and a 7:30. And then get enough rest and then come all day Saturday the 19th and the 20th to see this event. Because what it will do, Louie, it's going to fire you up. You'll be on fire, ready to just conquer the world as courageous and fearless Queen Esthers. And so where I see you fitting in, Louie, is Queen Esther wouldn't be Queen Esther if it wasn't for her cousin Mordecai. Mordecai was a very instrumental part of Queen Esther's life. She was supported by him fully, and he really protected her. And I see you, Louie, as that protector who
I am a fierce
women.
protector.
Yeah, the warrior, Mordecai. Yeah. So you're the.
I've not always been successful at it. I've tried my hardest, but as in any marriage or raising daughters, sometimes you feel like you fail, but you can never give up. You got to keep pushing, and that's our role as a man, is to protect these ladies in our lives, and any ladies for that matter. Stand up for them, stand up for what's right.
So did you have the shotgun at your back door when your daughters had their first boyfriends?
I don't think it was that bad, but I always had that scowl. I always wanted to get that first impression in, like, you better be careful because I know where to find you. Mm-hmm. If you ever hurt my daughter. Matter of fact, I've had conversations with my son-in-law that married my youngest daughter. We've gone and had dinner a time or two. Matter of fact, I called him one day and just said, "Hey, we need to meet." And he thought something was wrong. I knew I had the fear in him, but I took him out to dinner, and he was relieved to know that everything was okay, and I was happy. But no, you want your daughters to pick out men too that are strong and are going to protect them. I think that's any dad's goal, is to have somebody, or it should be that somebody that they're going to look to like they look at you, and know that you're always there, or they're always there to protect them no matter what, whether it's pushing them in the inside of the sidewalk, being a gentleman, having that door opening experience, all that stuff. I've tried to make it to where my daughters always saw that stuff with their mother, and I cherish my wife, and I love the worship the ground she walks on. I always wanted her protected, and I've not always been great at protecting her feelings, and I don't think any man ever is, but we do our best, or we should do our best. And I still have a lot of goals to meet and reach, and I still want to be a better husband and a better father and a better man to the world, But,
well, I was a single, never married mom for 17 years before I met my husband. And when my son, I have a son who's 40 now, when my son found the love of his life in college, and they were graduating from University of Kansas, I remember I called her father and said, "Where do you think the kids are going to end up? Will they be in Chicago? Well, do you think they'll go to St. Louis? Where will they live?" And her father said to me quite directly, Well, my daughter is going to be in St. Louis working with her mother. So if your son wants to be with my daughter, I guess he'll be in St. Louis. And so that's where they're at. It's like it was that father, with his daughter, and it was
Oh yeah.
it was like one thing I learned really quickly, Louie, is the mother of a son has no rights or choices of where their son ends up. It's the wife's choices. The wife chooses.
It is. I was very fortunate. I met my wife June 8th, 1990. That was 33 years ago, a little over 33 years ago. I was an Elvis impersonator, and I was in Chicago performing at the Rosemont, and ABC News happened to be there doing a story. As a matter of fact, MTV and VH1, all these different channels were there. And she happened to be working next door, and she came over with her friends. And I was a 19-year-old boy that, I loved Elvis. I loved performing. I loved all that stuff. But I got to meet her, and I just fell in love instantly. And that was, like I say, 33 years ago.
What year was that? What year was that?
1990.
And was she working at the Intercontinental or the Crown Plaza Hotel?
No, she actually worked for GTE Mobile Communications. That was back when cell phones were getting popular, coming out. And she was a human resources manager for them. And she happened to be over at the show that night and came over, and we locked eyes, and the rest was history. 6 months later, I had her move down here and married to me.
Well, I used to be a corporate group sales rep over at the Crown Plaza across the street from the Rosemont Theater.
Sheraton.
The Rosemont Theater. So were you at the Rosemont Allstate Horizon, or were you at the theater, Rosemont Theater?
I was at the Rosemont Sheraton.
The Sheraton, okay.
We were there doing this it was a big Elvis fest. It was called the Elvis Presley International Impersonators Association. That's back before they called them tribute artists. But there was, I don't know, 100 of us there, and only a few of us kind of got highlighted. And I was fortunate to be one of the ones that was in that news clip, which I've got on my YouTube channel.
That's really, really cool.
First time we ever met, we've got on video.
Awesome. That's really cool. Well, we don't want to go too much into your story because we'd really like everyone that's listening to come to the event and listen to Louie's amazing healing story from God. I did have the privilege, Louie, yesterday to listen to one of your songs because you're a singer-songwriter as well. And I listened to your song called Lonely, and we'll play that at the event and take off on that because I think that's really profound. And so, Louie, without going too deep into your story, Louie, can you tell us why the song Lonely was written?
Well, Lonely wasn't written by me. It was written by another songwriter, but I recorded it and I found it years ago whenever I was working with some other artists. I was trying to advance my career, and I had always suffered. I've always suffered from depression. Loneliness is a horrible feeling, and whether you're surrounded by a million people, you can still feel lonely. And a lot of people can understand that or deal with the same problem sometimes. But I've always suffered from depression, anxiety. I've had PTSD due to some accidents that I've had, some freak stuff that have happened to me. But lonely at the time was something that it really spoke to me because in the beginning phrase, there's a red brick and a white wall. And sometimes you feel like that red brick, like my dad used to call it, you're not the Lone Ranger. You're not the only one that feels this. And sometimes you do. You feel isolated, like everything around you is perfect. Everybody's world is perfect. And you're just that one little spot there that's standing out, and everybody knows that something is wrong with you. And so I felt like that at that time when I recorded that song, and the video and everything turned out great. But it was a meaningful song for me at the time. And it's kind of remained that way throughout my life. And although I've overcome a lot of my depression and the anxiety and all that stuff, I still suffer from it from time to time and have that feeling of not wanting to be here. And a matter of fact, at the conference, I'll probably go in and tell the story about a little day that I had, or an evening that I had at a place called Busick, not very far from the theater where you're holding this, where I tried to take my life. And I was a young man and desperate and tired. And I used to tell everybody, I'm just tired. I don't know what I'm feeling. But it was depression and it was loneliness. And it wasn't that I didn't have God in my life. It wasn't that I didn't have good parents or a good family. I hadn't met Patty yet, which Patty's been a lifesaver. She's saved my life over and over. But I was a young man. I was a teenager, just thought that, the world was so big and I was so small and I didn't know how to cope with things. Luckily, I had a mother that prayed for me constantly and still does. It'll make me cry. But I'm 52 years old and I still don't travel without her calling and wanting to know if I'm there okay. But thankful for her prayers and all her angels saved me that day. But I'll go into more detail about that maybe during the
Well,
conference.
one thing that really hit me when I listened to it last night, and my husband was actually listening to it, and it's such a cool song because when you get to the phrase of lonely, you think that you're going to say the only thing that saves me is the Lord. But what's so cool about the song, if I heard it right, and correct me if I heard it right or wrong, I heard what in the song it says the thing that saves me is loneliness. And it seems like to me what I was getting, if I heard it right, it sounded like what saves me is loneliness, because that loneliness turns me to God the Father. So in my brokenness, I turn to God. And so when you're hearing the song, it sounds like you're going to say, the only thing that saves me is the Lord, but it's loneliness that saves you. Is that correct? Is that what the interpretation
Absolutely.
is? Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, nothing's lonelier than loneliness, but you know, when you're lonely, you look to the Lord, and you can interpret that a lot of different ways, and a lot of people have through the years. And I think that's why that song has always kind of been, you know, my song. I'm trying to remember the artist that sang it originally, but it was a lesser, it was a well-known artist, but it wasn't a big hit for them. But that song just always spoke to me.
Well,
Because loneliness is
you
a
know, it's
horrible
so fun.
curse.
You know, it's so funny because we both come from a background of music industry. I worked in the music industry myself. I'm not a performer though. And my favorite song growing up, so yours, you attribute the loneliness song. Mine was the Crying Shames Up on the Roof. And what I loved about that song is I too lived in you lived in a very happy life. It sounds like childhood. Mine was very, very dysfunctional. And I remember going, my sister in my bedroom was right off of the roof. And at night when I was really lonely, I'd climb on top of the roof, look up at the stars, and I blast that song. When I come home feeling tired and beat, I go up where the air is fresh and sweet,
Fresh and
up
clear.
on the roof. I get away from the hustling crowd and all the rat race noise down in the street. On the roof's the only place I know where you could go to make it so. And I would just sit up there and I would just dream, God, take me away to somewhere where I can get away from this pain. And when we've suffered pain like you have and I have, you know, that place of deliverance and recluse and solitude sometimes is what we need the most. And Jesus did that, didn't he, Louie? He went up on the mountaintops. Yeah. Go ahead.
And sometimes we got to have that just time to think. And music's always been medicine for me anyway. So there's so many songs I can't even list that speak to me. And I'm the first one to cry in a song too, because it takes me back somewhere, or it gives me that comfort I had as a child. My mother sang to me all the time, always had the radio on. So music's always been my comfort. But God would have to go out. He was lonely. You know, he had to be lonely, you know, at times, and saying, you know, why me, God? How'd I end up in this, you know, part of everything? But bring a little humor to it. But, you know, he had to think some of those things, you know.
I get a kick out of the fact, two things, that Jesus went to the mountainside when he was lonely and needed time to be with his Father. And Jesus needed 12 disciples in his life. So he did not do life alone. And I find that fascinating. How many of us that are listening try to do life alone? I look at that, Louie, and I go, Jesus didn't do life alone. He had community. And that's what I think, that's why I think this event is going to be
need people.
One of the most impactful weekends of your life, because us women, and Louie there, are going to love on you, and we're going to encourage you, and we're going to come alongside of you.
I'm a hugger. Is that okay?
Well, you got to ask them permission. For me, absolutely. But I've had to learn boundaries, so I guess you'll have.
I do too.
I know.
My mother was always a hugger, and the whole family, you beat and pound on each other, and you love on each other, and to me, it's just automatic sometimes.
Me too, it is, and sometimes I've gotten in trouble with that because people will go like, "Why are you touching me?" And I'm like, "Oh,
right."
Because
some people aren't touchers. That's okay.
I am. So definitely. So we're gonna see Louie. You guys get your tickets today at Braveheart Workshops. I want to point out his bio so you know how to find him. This is his website and his Facebook page. He's got a non-for-profit called Choosing to Live, so you'll be able to find him on this. And And then I'm going to show you, I'm trying to find it, all the different speakers. We also, Louie, have Tammy Trent coming in from Nashville, Tennessee. She's a
Fantastic.
singer and songwriter who's toured with Women of Faith and with Beth Moore. And we've got the lovely, lovely Sarah Forheights, who is a former anchor woman out of Springfield. She's going to be speaking. Just amazing topics. We've got a topic on, just to give you some ideas, Louie, we've got a topic on walking in love, finding hope. We've got a topic on overcoming loss, the effects of social media and our identity, health and healing of body image issues. So really powerful topics for girls
That's
and
great.
women. Yep. And we're going to...
I think the whole body image thing and the social media is so important to touch on because so many women worry about the way they look and feel. And, you know, my wife's went through lots of different changes through the years, but I've tried to always just assure her that she's a beauty no matter what. Her heart's beautiful, and the scars of having babies, all that stuff, you've earned those things. That's okay. It's amazing.
And you know what I found very interesting, Louie? I myself had to go to treatment 5 times for eating disorders. And so I learned a lot about body image issues. And this one was one thing that was fascinating to me. How many men have body image issues? And you know what? You know who I found out about that I didn't know? My own father was a bodybuilder in the Navy. He had, I mean,
Really?
he was unbelievably, like, in magazines and all that. And then he ended up at 79 years old. He was at the gym working out. He turned gray, went to the hospital, and he had to have a quadruple bypass. His arteries were blocked. And 2 days afterwards, he said, man, I feel like I could run a marathon. He felt so good at 79.
Really?
But what happened is 2 days later, he got a staph infection, and he had to be like on the cleaning the staph out for like, I don't know, like 5-6 weeks. He went down from 185 pounds full body mass down to 145 pounds. He lost his body mass, and you know what, Louie? It took my dad 6 months before he would go back to the gym because at 79, he couldn't handle the fact that he didn't look buff at the gym. And he's married. It wasn't like he was so used to being buff that when his muscle mass went away, he couldn't deal with it. And I never knew how severe my dad's body image issues were until that occurred. So men go through this quite a bit as well. And Louie,
I've done it my whole life. I go up and down in my weight like everybody else, and unfortunately, I'm 300 pounds now. The doctor says I need to lose some weight. I agree, I need to, but I love food. I love to eat, and I hate to get on the treadmill, so it doesn't work out very well.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we'll talk about at the event, we'll bring up, I think, too, and I usually don't, but I will because of your topic, is because of your topic, I think this will be important, Louie. I found, and I just wanted to share it with you and the audience before the event, I found the most amazing company out of California, or they're out of Utah now, they were in California, and it's called Amari Global, the mental wellness company. And the company was founded by a gentleman by Hip Train, and he was a millionaire who owned a tech firm, Louie. And he put in so many hours at work, he became an alcoholic. So he admitted himself to treatment. They wanted to medicate him, but he refused the meds. So what he did is when he got out of treatment, he said, I'm going to take all of my money, I'm going to sell my companies, and I'm going to find the best biochemists, scientists I could find, and formulate organic nutrients that will heal people's mental illness today. And so it's called the Mental Wellness Company, and they beta tested this. One girl beta tested it in Oregon with veterans, PTSD veterans. And in 6 months, their PTSD diminished 60% on organic nutrients. And it's the only vitamin company that I know that actually have 2 of their products that got FDA approval, and vitamins never get FDA approval. They're fabulous products. So I think I'm going to bring them to the event so people that maybe are struggling will be able to know what the products are, and I'll introduce them to you too, Louie, because they're fabulous. I've had depression most of my life, and since I've been on them, it's really, really gotten stabilized. Really, really well.
There's so many natural options out there for people to take to help with the depression. I'm not a one that promotes all the pharmaceuticals. I've been on them for years, a lot of different things, but I did quit taking, I think, a Lexapro or something that I was on, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, maybe even a year ago now. I've lost track, but I've done a lot better, but it hasn't been easy. And I don't recommend people just drop off, and quit taking those things. You got to follow your doctor's orders.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with the meds, because I've been on different ones over the life. But when you know that you gradually get to a place of going on something organic,
got to get in the right place.
You got to be in the right place, and you have to do it with a doctor's help. But we're going to end, and Louie, stay on at the very end when I hit the button to say goodbye. But guys and gals out there, men, you can come to this event too, because you're a Mordecai. It's more for girls, but we are welcoming men. So register today. The tickets are only $28. I mean, and that includes your lunch on Saturday. You get a lunch too. So, really affordable. Everyone come, and we'll see you in Branson, Missouri. Thanks a lot, Louie.
You bet. Thank you.
God bless you. Amari Global is the mental wellness company. In 2018, Amari won the Nutra Award for the world's first award-winning gut-brain axis nutrition system for their flagship product, the Fundamentals Pack, clinically proven to increase good bacteria in the gut and incredible benefits. Amari means love, and there is love in every bottle. Mental health matters, and Amari is the mental wellness company. Prepare your body's gut microbiome for optimized mental wellness with a reboot, and get yourself back to feeling joyful and motivated with mood. Round out your daily nutrition with GBX food systems. Crush your daily to-do list each day with Edge. Support your digestion and immune system with digestive, probiotics, omega, and Vita GBX supplements. Fuel your mental edge with our Mental Fitness Pack. Feel like your best self with the Happy Hormone Pack. Unlock your brain's potential with happy neurons with the Happy Mind Pack. And combine these products for an ultimate day with the Happy Juice Pack. For weight loss and energy, order the Transformational Pack. Our Kids Pack is the first comprehensive mental wellness pack for kids and teens. For a complete mind and body nutrition system, get your kids these today. Begin your wellness journey with Amari's Starter Pack and save. Start with the Entrepreneur Pack if you're serious about making an impact on your mental, physical, and financial wellness. Launch your Amari business with all our top products, packs, offers, and save. Help others achieve overall wellness too and gain financial wellness. Become a mental wellness partner today. Shop now and save. Sign up today by going to our website listed on this page. Thank you for joining us on The Connection Show. Our show is made possible by your support. Please go to our website and click on the Affiliate Partners page now. You can support us either on Venmo or our Cash App today. We love our podcast guests and our social media subscribers. Our channels are made possible by you, our listeners. Please go to our website and go to our Contact Us page and click on all our social media pages. Make sure you click the bell on YouTube and subscribe, and the follow us button on Rumble. Our affiliate partners are featured on our show, and we thank you for supporting them and their products. Each of them have fabulous offerings with discounts when you mention Braveheart when you order. Please order today by going to braveheartworkshops.com and clicking on Affiliate Partners.